Hello, my friends. Welcome back to another week of Nuggets. Thank you, Pastor Bob, for taking us through the miracles around the lake in last week's study. In our lesson for this week, we'll be looking at what's really inside a person's heart through the events recorded in Mark 7 and 8. Now, if you think back a few years to the COVID-19 pandemic, one of the practices that was reinforced more than ever was that of washing your hands. Signs were posted everywhere showing people how to do it properly. And health professionals were on the news showing people what the correct way was in order to get rid of any potential virus lurking on our hands. Also showing us how to scrub the soap and how long the whole process had to take, and so forth and so on. In our household, it was almost military force when you walked in through the door. Don't touch anything until you go wash your hands. Our story today begins with Jesus' disciples not washing their hands before eating. For us, it's hard to imagine the need to wash our hands for any other reason except hygienic purposes. But the washing referred to here was part of the rituals for purity. Pious Jews had developed these purity behaviors as a fence around the law and were meant to keep Jews from inadvertently breaking any of the 613 Mosaic laws. Same thing when coming in from the marketplace. There could have been impure goods that Jews came into contact with, or that had been touched by an unclean Gentile. Thus, they had to symbolically purify themselves through washing. And these pious Jews had even developed the criteria for the minimum water required for this purity ritual: 1.5 eggshells. Or, if there was no water available, then a dry ablution was permitted, and the person had to go through the motions as if washing their hands. Nowhere in the Torah could you find this law. But the Jews at that time were obsessed with these two categories: clean versus unclean. So the Pharisees challenged Jesus because he doesn't enforce all these traditions that had originated after the Jews came back from exile, as a reaction and as an attempt to stay close to God and never fall back into idolatry, to be carried away from their own land. But these traditions had taken a life of their own to the point that they had become even more important than the original laws, such as honor your father and your mother, as we see later on in the conversation between Jesus and the teachers of the law. Jesus calls them out on prioritizing man-made traditions over divine laws. Jesus is disruptive. He is non-traditional at times. Now, how do you think you would have reacted at the time? How do you react when there are changes in your church and we don't do things the way we used to? What kind of response do you have when religious expressions are out of your comfort zone? Are you the condemning, finger-wagging type, or the anything goes type? Or do you consider it an opportunity for prayerful reflection about the way we have been doing things? We're going to talk more about this in tomorrow's Nugget. I'll see you then.